This is the Neo. What we did is we put in a Unibios and Debug-Bios on one chip that has 4 switchable areas, and so 2 go to the debug and 2 go to the Unibios. The switch is back here, and so right now I have it on debug, which is to the left facing from our view. We also have the overclock switch back here, which facing switch to the left is the normal default 12 megahertz clock rate for the Neo. So we turn it on, running on component through the Neobitz, and so you see that we're booting into the Debug-Bios mode. Switch it off, flip the switch to the right. Now we should be in the Unibios, and again we're still on the regular standard clock rate. Turn it back on, and you can see we're in the Unibios now. So we'll let it go. So the lines kind of scrolling to the left are not on the screen, but from my phone filming this. And the only kind of visual caveat that we get with component on the Neobitz with this Panasonic TV is at the top there's about, maybe 5% or less of the screen that skews off to the left, maybe in like 11 o'clock direction. And you can kind of see that from time to time, but you'll see it more when the game goes into a fight stage, and you can see the scores and life bars at the top kind of get skewed a little bit. It's not too bad, but it's something that I'm kind of working on to see if we can fix up. So here we go into attraction mode. Again, this is on component over the Neobitz. Standard clock rate using the Unibios. See, it runs pretty well. And then you can see this kind of skewing right here on the screen. And again, with some of the letters there, you can see it. And hopefully I get this fixed up soon by cleaning up the sync line a little bit and getting it better to go with the Panasonic TV. So we'll switch it off here. We'll flip the switch in the back over to the right now. And so this is the 14.3 megahertz crystal. So again, overclocked about 2 megahertz, 2.3 megahertz. And again, so this is with the Unibios. Same video output and everything. We're just now running it on overclock mode. And so you can see that we get these somewhat graphical glitches sometimes when we're running it on overclock. But it seems to be really only on the kind of pre-programmed, pre-rendered like intro screens and sometimes on the menus. I haven't really spotted any of those kinds of graphical glitches during actual gameplay. So we'll let it go into an attract mode and see if we can spot any differences. In games that are newer, such as Last Blade 2, we probably won't see any differences just because these games were programmed kind of for the Neo at that clock rate and run pretty well by default. One game we might want to take a look at is a game like Aero Fighters 2 when we get a lot of enemies on the screen and see if we see any differences. But again, we're running an overclock. You see there's not really any graphical glitches in overclock mode, but we don't really notice any major differences in how the game's running because it's a newer game. And so we probably want to check out an older game where we know we have some speed issues, such as like a Fatal Fury going through the rice screens, or Aero Fighters 2 when we have a lot of enemies on the stage. So this is the Neo, Andres' Neo. We have the Neobitz, so we can have component output. We have svideo, composite, stereo. These are kind of recycled cables. Then we have in the back here a switch for overclocking, overclock to the right, standard clock rate to the left, and then we have the right above the DC in jack, we have a BIOS switch, which to the right is the Unibios, and to the left, in terms of facing the Neo, is the standard debug BIOS. And so we no longer have this stock BIOS installed, but we have the two different variations of the aftermarket BIOSes.